Welcome. I'm Samuel Clark. You may know me from such videos as how to rejet a TTR 125 and modify the airbox. Although you probably don't, because that only has 8 views. Anyway, what we're going to do today is I have a 2016 CRF 230F. And what we want to do is rejet the carburetor and modify the airbox. But in order to do that, you have to remove the seat, you have to remove the shrouds, and you have to get rid of the gas tank. Now, as far as a video specifically for the carburetor, there are already some great videos. Specifically, XR Land has a wonderful video on how to rejet and replace the needle on a K-Hine PD. However, for those newbies who really want some of the more mundane tasks put on video, that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to start with removing the seat, then we'll remove the shrouds, and then we'll go ahead and remove the gas tank, and I'll show you how to do that. Lastly, I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the trickier points about removing that carburetor, and then we'll be finished. So anyway, sit back, relax, and we'll get to it. Okay, so we're back. And the first thing we're going to do is remove the seat. The seat is held on by 2 bolts on the underside. The best way to remove those bolts is with 2 12mm open-ended wrenches. You can see here and here on that side, those are the nuts. On the opposite sides where you may not be able to see are the bolts. So I'm going to hold tight and then unscrew. You'll see what it looks like here in just a second. Okay, so that's done on the left side of the bike. What you'll see here is I have the nut and the bolt and a little washer that fits right in there. Don't forget how that goes in so that you can replace it whenever the time comes. I'm going to go ahead and remove the bolt on the right side, and then we'll go ahead and slip the seat out. Okay, so both the bolts are gone from the underside of the seat, and what you then need to do is gently slide it back. Let me show you. There are 3 places where the bike attaches on the underside. There's an area here, an area here, and then an area there. That does it for removing the seat. Now let's go ahead and take those shrouds off. What we're going to do next is we're going to remove the 2 front shrouds and the right rear shroud. You actually don't have to remove the left rear shroud for access to the carburetor. The reason you need to remove the left front shroud is so that you can remove the gas tank. All you need for this is a Phillips head and a flat head. The Phillips head will go ahead and we'll remove this screw and that screw, and then you'll need to pop out a couple of plastic tabs, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second. But let's go ahead and remove the screws first. Okay, those are the screws we needed to remove from the front shroud. Now let me get you to go ahead and get a little closer, and I'll show you how to pop these tabs out. With your flathead, if you'll get it right underneath and just pull up real gently, you can see that there's actually a middle portion of that'll come up. And when it does, the rest of that tab just pulls straight out. You can see what happens. You can see what happens is that as this tab is inserted into the rest, it'll cause that flange to expand underneath where it goes and stay put. These aren't hard, but you can run them if you don't know what you're doing. I'm going to go ahead and remove the other tabs and the rest of the screws, and I'll try to work as fast as I can. There are actually 2 more tabs at the front of these shrouds, and there's actually 2 more areas where a bar underneath here fits into these shrouds. I'm going to show you those now. So this shroud is no longer attached by any screws or any tabs, but there's one little area underneath here, if you can see it, that you just have to pull down. And once you pull down, the shroud is off. I'm going to go finish the other side real quick. Okay, so I struggled a little with the tabs. It's a little cold and those tabs are not quite as pliable. In warmer weather, those tabs pop out a little bit easier. If you need to, you can grab a pair of needle nose pliers and pull out a little bit with that way rather than using your fingers. It might work a touch better. Anyway, it'll be a lot easier when it's warm, and that's a more fun time to ride. I've gone ahead and removed the two front shrouds. Now I'm going to show you about removing the rear right shroud. You don't absolutely have to remove it, but I think it gives you a little bit better access to the carburetor, and I'm going to do that now. There's only actually one screw, and there's a couple of plastic grommets where there are some other tabs that fit into. The plastic grommets are up at the top. Here and here. And once you pull them out of their respective areas, the shroud is free. At this point, those are all the shrouds that we need to remove. We're going to go ahead and work on the gas tank next. Don't worry, you won't spill any. Okay, we've removed the seat, we've removed the shrouds. The next thing we need to do is to go ahead and remove the gas tank. The first thing you want to do is take your fuel switch and switch it to off. Make sure that you're not going to be draining the entire gas tank when you remove the fuel line from the carburetor, which is actually the next step. I've got a pair of needle nose pliers I'm going to use for a little area back there. You might want to go ahead and turn the choke on. That gives you better access down here. I also have a little cup that if I need to catch a little bit of gasoline, I can do that as well. Finally, I'm going to put on some gloves so that my hands don't get soiled. Okay, you'll take your needle nose pliers. You'll pull that clip back. You'll have your little gasoline cup ready. And that's it. And now we're ready to remove the gas tank. There are 5 points where it's connected. The first and easiest point to remove is this strap right here. You simply press down and then that's removed. There are 4 bolts on the underside and we're going to show you those now. What you'll need to use is an 8mm socket and that'll remove it without any trouble. Okay, one final note. You need to go ahead and remove the air vent hose. Alright, so the gas tank is ready to be removed. And there you have it. I'm going to go set it down, making sure that the back end isn't resting on anything so that we don't damage the fuel selector. Okay, as you can see, we've removed the seat, the shrouds, and the gas tank. What that allows for is excellent visualization of the entire carburetor. I'm going to go ahead and point out a couple of other things here real quick, just as kind of some tips that helped me. Okay, so the majority of the disassembly that I'm going to show you here today is complete. I do want to, however, go through a few steps for you just prior to getting the carburetor off. As I mentioned previously, there's already a great carburetor video that XR Land has done, and I really just recommend that you take a look at that for more specifics on exactly how to change out the jets and to place the new needle in. But in order to go ahead and remove this carburetor, you want to start with the push and pull throttle cables. What you want to do is you want to go ahead and loosen this one here and then remove this cable at this point right here. The next thing you want to do is loosen it here, but don't remove it yet. This is the push cable. You loosen it and then you come up here to the throttle housing, the throttle cable housing up here on the handlebars, you'll want to remove these two screws, and then you'll want to remove the cable that goes to this one, and you can just follow it up along the frame of the bike, and you'll remove it from here. Once you do that, then you'll have enough room to remove it underneath on this side. Once both of those throttle cables have been removed from the carburetor, the next thing that you want to do is go ahead and loosen the hose clamps here and here. Once you do that, you'll be able to rock it back and forth and gently remove it. You do have two air hoses. One is here that attaches down, and one is here that attaches down. You can go ahead and pull those out with the carburetor and remove them once the carburetor is free. One final tip: when you're messing with the throttle housing up here on the handlebar, be really careful about watching how it goes together and how it works. As I was putting it back together, I felt like things went back together well, but at one point when I got the screws tightened, I did have a pinch somewhere and it didn't allow me to move the throttles. So make sure you pay real good attention when you pull that out, because it's under a little bit of tension and the pieces have a way of kind of coming apart just a little bit. So having that on video so that you can kind of go back and look at it is not a bad idea too. Unfortunately, I'm not going to open this back up because it wasn't all that fun putting it back together. At any rate, that gets you to the point where you've got your carburetor free from the bike and you can do your work on it. I do recommend, if you're at sea level, using a 120 main jet, a 45 slow jet, and going with the 2003-2005 needle with the clip set in the 4th position. At any rate, I'm pretty pleased with the performance of the bike at this point, and I'm going to go take it on the trails either today or tomorrow. I hope this video helps you. I appreciate your time, and y'all stay safe out there.